Right, so here we are again. Sorry, it's a bit later today. I got distracted by some building. Let me just turn that down. Right, yeah. So a bit of module development got in the way. So let's have a second look at things that I took to Bristronica. This is, I suppose, the biggest thing, physically biggest anyway, to get the to kind of integrate AE Modular into Eurorack, because of course Eurorack is the predominant modular platform around. Let me move this mic. That's a bit better. Actually, not crick my neck. And yeah, it's something that has been talked about for a while. Tangible Waves already do a Eurorack case, but you have to populate that with power, with well, the power modules have audio I/O, but it's not. And then you start buying your modules. So what I've got here is a self-contained baseboard. That's what I've called it. We have 4 2-channel jacks on the left-hand side for inputs. These are switchable between unipolar and bipolar operation in pairs. So this button changes input A, this one is B, this one is C, this one is D. And then they're labelled, they come out to this 8-pin header here, A1, A2, B1, B2, etc. In the middle is space for 4 full-sized AE modules, so like this, you know, the RBSS, the original RBSS, for example, or up to 12 micro modules, and that's basically the driver for this, was to integrate my the drum voices into Eurorack. And then on the right hand side we have the output. So this is configured the same as the input. So we have 4 stereo or 2-channel jacks, TRS, and these are connected to this header, A1, A2 through D1, D2, as before, as on the left hand side, and again switchable between bipolar and unipolar. So here, this cable here is attached to my mixer, which hopefully will start making sound soon. And right, so off we go. So the one thing that we've got in the middle here, obviously, is not fully populated, so I've only put headers in for 6 micro modules right now. So one thing about the micro modules is there's this little locating slot on the bottom edge to stop the modules rotating. So when they click in, they're nice and solid. Of course, the full-size modules don't have such holes, so that's potentially an issue. So what I've actually got here is these are in 2 parts, so you can unscrew the top part of the locating whatever we call it, leg pin, and then that allows you to just fit the full-size module in there. Let's just do those up. Right, make sure they're done up. So let's have a go at repeating kind of what we did yesterday. So what we had was I've lost it. So we have a kick drum, so we can stick a kick drum in there. I've already undone the. So this is what happens if you don't have that pin. Then these rotate slightly. So obviously I undid that and haven't put the new one on. So instead of using the RBSS to trigger, I'm going to use the well-known grids. So this isn't grids. This is a clone called GRIS. So we can plug. Here we have a TRS to twin mono cable here. Let's plug that into input A. We can then trigger A1 into the input trigger, and let's for now just take this output here. So can't remember which one is which. There we go. So that's quite nice. We have our AE drum voice connected to Eurorack. So obviously this left-hand panel here, the white one, is responsible for protecting the stuff in the middle, the AE modules, from over voltage, because of course Eurorack is running on plus or minus 12 volts and AE runs on 5 volts. So of course if you put 12 volts into AE modules, bad things can happen. All the magic smoke comes out. And then similarly on the output we scale things back up to Eurorack levels. Right. In fact, let me use short cables. I'll use yellow ones for the triggers and blue for the audio outs. Let's see how long that lasts. So, let's say this is connected to these two pins here. Oh, I've connected to that's just the noise out. There we go. So of course the left hand side could be any source of triggers from Eurorack. It's just convenient that I built one of these, built this as a kit, so and then let's put the hi-hat in place. So this grids clone has, I'm going to use the accent output here for the open hi-hat, use the channel 3 to drive the closed hi-hat. Closed hat and open hat. Right now there's nothing connected to channel into B. So let me quickly do that. Apologies, need to stretch out the mixer. Let's see what happens. So there we have it. That's AE Modular running inside of Eurorack, which is quite nice, I think. So here's just to show some full-size stuff. Here's now there's the core, which is a programmable module. Let's use the open hat signal trigger. So this is just showing full size operation. So this, yesterday we had the full size kæstle drum. This is the core programmed as the voice from the core, from the kæstle drum. Which isn't making any sound. It was definitely making sound 10 minutes ago. There we go. Plugged into the wrong input of the mixer. This is using the trigger input of the core of the kæstle voice, so we can select the voice. Select the drum sound with D. So we can use RBSS. Yeah, I mean, this is a prototype. It is a bit tight. It doesn't help that actually the core that I've got here is a very early one, and the pins are wrong. The power pins are slightly in the wrong place. Let me see if I can put it here. So it doesn't sit straight. Can you tell it's live? Tell you what, let's use the real thing. So I made a mistake in the early versions of some of these modules, which of course the ones I've still got. The power header is in the wrong place. which is why these ones are a little bit wonky. So here we've got the Wrangler that I talked about yesterday, the pattern output being clocked from the output here from the GRIS. So we could use the same trigger as the hi-hat is using. So yeah, that's can be quite fun. We'll just mix and match drum sounds or kæstle sounds, whichever you prefer, really. The hi-hat's gone quiet. Why's the hi-hat gone quiet? Because I turned the mixer down. Fun times, fun times. Right. So okay, we can have hi-hat and drums. And these two connectors are going straight to my mixer right now. Whereas yesterday I had a sub mixer. So let's take the kæstle out. So the concept of the baseboard is very, very much informed by the quick swap case, which was developed by Tom's, aka AE Modular, and now is being produced by Robert. So you can buy the full-sized AE Modular cases with this sort of quick swap ability, which is really nice, actually, really nice. So the other thing I was showing in this rack on the weekend was this new CV to MIDI module, CVMX, which is now on the web shop. There we go. So as you can see, it's got a little display. It's got a control where you can move the cursor up and down. You can edit these things, and let's just go through some of those. So the CVMX is a generic kind of CV to MIDI device. Now, what we've got, I'm going to show you this because it's handy and it's all in the same rack. So we've got, this is a module called Player, which is a drum player, which I did show previously on one of my previous live streams. So it's got some mini pops samples in. Let's plug the output of that. So this is MIDI controlled, the player. All of the blue faced Wonkystuff modules have something to do with MIDI. What the CVMX allows you to do is to generate MIDI messages based on control voltages and triggers and things like this. It has memories, so I'm going to load in memory number 1, which I know has the top 4 channels, top 4, I call them lanes, configured to play different sounds in the player here. So if we click on input A, it says we are going to be outputting, just about read it I think on the screen here. On MIDI channel 1 we've got a note, and it's going to be generating a C3. So let's use the same. Right, so now the kick drum, which was an analog kick drum, BD55. There we go. So now we can see that we have grids into CVMX, which is generating MIDI messages. We've got a little flashing X here when we get a trigger detected. If my mixer wasn't crapping out. There we go, hopefully. So one thing about the player is that it's velocity sensitive, and we can set the velocity here for this particular note, so we make it quieter, all the way down, and then it wraps around to full again. So we could use we can have a numeric fixed velocity. We can use the input from one of the other lanes, so A to H. We can have a random number, which is useful for giving a bit of sort of interesting dynamics to things. So let's see what's on. Well, talking about the random, use the closed hat onto D. Now D, again sending out a note message. Channel 1, it's a random pitch, random between D3 and D sharp 3, which are these two sort of plinky plonky noises, and with a random velocity. Now these velocities are very low, so let's wind them up a bit. And we can change the range of this random. So something like that with that sort of random note will give you a bit of sort of, I guess, a bit of interest in the rhythm patterns that you might have. Okay, so of course, what else? So the CVMX also allows you to generate different sorts of messages. So we've already talked about the note message. There's toggled CCs, so continuous controller MIDI messages. So this would be for things like a sustain pedal, which is actually implemented as a continuous controller in the MIDI spec. So you can toggle between sustain and not sustain. You can toggle notes, so consecutive pulses will switch a note on or off. Value is just, that's where you use the lane for a input to a different another lane. Regular CCs, so you can turn a variable voltage into a continuous controller. For example, this is channel 1, it's CC24, and the input is scaled between values 0 to 45. If the maximum value is bigger than the minimum, so we have minimum here and maximum, so if the minimum is bigger than the maximum, it actually flips the sense, so a low voltage on the input would make a high value on the controller. So it's easy to do kind of this inverted responses. CC switch, yeah, so it's been round again. So if I had a source of voltage, I'd be able to show those going. I don't think I have actually. I don't think I've got a voltage control. So I've got the RBSS, but that doesn't actually fit, as we've already seen. Well, the other thing we can do, because the this is MIDI data, we can use the MIMO. It's not a great name. Connect the input of that to the through of player, and then we'll have TRS MIDI coming out of here. So then you can control an external synth, which is quite nice way of just integrating external MIDI devices with your modular via the power of MIDI. As you can see, this is MIDI in and out. So in, we connect TRS to this pin, and it comes out of the out here, and moving from internal MIDI to external MIDI using this side of the device. So if you are bringing MIDI in, let's move that up there to be a bit more logical. Then if you want to stay within the micro format, then there's the micro MDX, which is a MIDI demultiplexer. So we've got somewhere around here, I've got me OPZ, trusty OPZ. OPZ is really handy because you can basically, it's easily portable, and you can easily send on multiple different MIDI channels. So this has got the OpLab installed. This is the MIDI output. So let's just shut you up. So as I say, the player is MIDI controlled. So we can connect this to one of the channel outputs of the micro MDX. So that's on 1. Now, depending on the map here, 1 to 8 can be channels, MIDI channels 1 to 8, or 9 to 16, or a sort of double up mode. And great, there we go. I don't know what happened there. So like I say, it's MIDI, so we have MIDI data being sent here, and these are the 8 sounds out of the player. And we're listening on channel 1, which is, can't really see, indicated by that. So if I went to channel 2, I'm now not sending, but I can, or not receiving. I can move this pin to channel 2 on the MDX, micro MDX, and now we're listening to channel 2. So for example, this, I think I've got some things programmed in the sequencer. So that's the sequence that's programmed into channel 2. I can switch that to channel 1, which has a different, so it's got a different sequence plugged into it. Probably something else on 3. Yeah. So the same, all the information is coming out exactly the same. It's just all from the TRS MIDI, and depending on which channel we're listening to, we'll have a different pattern. So if you didn't want to be using the sounds from the player, we can disconnect that. We can disconnect this. You might want to use the analog drum sounds. So what we can do is use the MTR8. You can see it's blinking away, so something is being received. And then use the trigger outputs from MTR8 into, if I can see, let's move this under all these wires rather than over it, might be nicer. So now we're triggering that stretched. Open hat. Closed hat. Okay. Post has arrived. So what channel are we on? We're on channel 1. Stop the sequence. Move to channel 1. So that's using the MTR8 to trigger the analog drum sounds. So over there. So hours of fun with drums. And of course it's MIDI, so let's ripple these out of the way. Now I haven't got, this is going to be a bit horrible because I haven't got any VCAs or envelope generators, but still let's do it anyway. Instead of the MTR8 to trigger the drum sounds, we can use MCO1B, which is the MIDI controlled oscillator. So let me just turn this down. Not sure if I've ever demonstrated this one online. So we've got an annoying sound. We go to channel 1, input here. The OPZ is on channel 1. So far so interesting. So that's a okay, I haven't set the controllers up for this. Let's go to channel 5 because I know that one works. Channel 5. So these, the MCO one has, can't remember how many parameters there are for each voice, but there's internally there's a ramp wave, which is this. Square wave with pulse, with both adjustable pulse width and PWM. There's an internal LFO for the PWM. So we've got PWM on LFO speed. We have a sub-oscillator. We have a noise source. And there's also a very crude sine wave, which is good for sort of lifting harmonics. So you can sort of just boost the fundamental of the sound. What else have we got? We can transpose as well, up to 2 octaves. There's also the velocity. You can again make it velocity sensitive, change the velocity sensitivity, but it's a bit moot on the OPZ because the keys aren't velocity sensitive. There's also pitch bend, and you can set the range of that pitch bend using the standard MIDI NRPN. Or is it RPN? But that's quite a nice little little thing. As let's see, actually I've got a first edition QVCA here. If I can fit it in. Not sure if this was has the power in the right place. Yeah, so let's take the audio of that, or the output of that. Take the audio from the MCO, MIDI control oscillator, and then the VCA, the actual envelope we can take from the gate here. So that's better. Now I've got a bit of articulation. Not much, but it's there. It's not just droning on and on and on. When you have a bunch of these MCOs, you might want to tune them against each other, so you get a bit of tuning latitude here. So of course you might want to trigger MIDI notes from an external source, so we can obviously MCO1 here. Let's connect MIDI out from CVMX into micro MDX, and then so these notes at the top were sent from on channel 1. So we use the input there. We can do that. So we're now taking one of the triggers from the outside world, which of course are very short. That's why we really need an envelope. So it's lucky that I've got one. This is the recently introduced ENV4, so it's 4 envelope. So they're matched. So there's attack and release that's the only controls we've got. Let's take the gate. So we've got 4 outputs. So this is when you want matched envelopes. Simple as that, really. So if you're playing polyphonic things, then if you've got polyphonic stuff going on, you'd want all your voices to have the same shape. So these are simple attack release envelopes, but there's 4 of them, and they all have, like I say, the same shape. B there. So these were all mapped onto the player's drum voices. Oh, nice. Bit of atonality. So talking about polyphony, this is another newish one, PA4, the polyphonic assigner number 4, for 4 channels. So someone keeps putting cameras in the way, it's really hard to see. Cool, right, so we now say channel 1 into the PA4, and then this will it basically allocates MIDI notes to, again, what is that? Maybe it's not plugged in properly. MIDI notes to one of the 4 outputs. MIDI out into in, channel 1 there. Perils of live demos, hi. See, just literally unplugged it from the rack that I was using on the weekend. Ah, okay. There we go. That should be working. So we have different voice allocation modes. There's a dim light. Oh, why is that not working? Hang on a minute. Why? What is going on? So we've got that going on here. So that should work. There we go. So we can hear that there's only some notes sounding. In fact, I'm using envelope 4 there. Let's one. So we can now have another MIDI control oscillator. The audio of that goes into that, the audio there, running out of patch cables. The gate into, no, envelope 2 output into CV2 for the quad VCA, and the gate output into trigger 2, or gate 2. And then we can take the output of VCA 2 so now we've got overlapping notes, if you like. Not harmonic, not pleasant. there we go. Not hugely tuneful. Oh, even worse. But you can hear that, yeah, there's polyphony going on here. I mean, ideally you'd have a little mixer mixing all your 4 voices together before it leaves Eurorack land or your AE, but I don't have one right now. Yeah, probably enough of that. But hopefully you get the idea. If there's anything that's not clear, or why didn't I show X, Y, or Z, drop us a message as ever, and I'll see if I can remedy that in a future video. So I think that's actually covered the sort of the third part of the Bristronica demos. So we had, I was showing the polyphonic stuff in one rack. I was showing this Eurorack adapter, obviously right here in this rack, and I was showing the sort of micro random drum machine thing, which was showed in yesterday's video. And this morning I've been working on a new drum voice, so let's see how that goes. It's yeah, another DR110 voice. And if you're counting up the numbers of voices in the DR110, you've probably got a good idea of what the last sound is. Answers on the postcard, please, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I think that's probably it for today. It's a little bit shorter than previous days, but hope that was at least vaguely interesting. As I say, the Eurorack adapter here is going to be refined, because it's obviously too tight at the moment. There's the final one will have a sort of full size panel. I don't know what HP this is, but you know, it's quite a lot of. It's quite a big module, I suppose, in Eurorack terms. But if you think you could pack 12 drum voices in here, it's quite a nice density of functionality, in my mind. Whether it's something that's useful, don't know. Again, put a comment on if you think this is great, or if you think, well, no one's ever going to use that. All opinions are useful. So look forward to reading what people have to say. But yeah, personally, the main driver for doing the baseboard was to host the drum voices. So you know, maybe this left hand side just needs trigger inputs instead of CV and audio. I mean, I have run audio effects in here, filters and things like this. So in fact, I suppose I could do that. Here's a grunge filter. Yeah, another thing that's needs changing on the baseboard is that these holes, which are designed to locate the pillars. So on the bottom of a AE Modular, you have these brass. In my case, there's these brass pillars. They fit in these holes. Unfortunately, the ones that Tangible Waves use are slightly too fat for that, so I've had to change mine around, swap them over. Of course, next version of the baseboard will have bigger holes. What have we got? So on the left hand side here we've got plinky. So let's detach these. Use A, turn it into an audio input, and there's an output here, output there. Let's take a plugged into B. Interesting. Turn the mixers down. Don't know what's going on now. Oh. Okay, so we've got sound. That's direct from the plinky, so just connected input to output. We can stick that through the filter. It's on low, it's a high input. Resonance up. I mean, it is a particularly dirty filter. Yeah, maybe I could have selected a better filter for that demo, but oh, actually. I think also it's quite a hot signal coming in here. Yeesh. So yeah, this got renamed as the grunge filter. And you can probably see why. Okay, well, I think that's probably enough for today, and I shall regroup and see what happens tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching, if indeed you still are. See you.